There it is, Z Star Man, 646-389-1311. 646-389-1311. Get your astrology, numerology on for 2017. You know what? You know, a lot of people haven't said this, but I believe Donald Trump has an astrologer. All the wacky moves that he's making, I believe that Trump has an astrologer in the White House. He ain't saying nothing now, but it's a lot of wacky stuff that he's doing and how he's doing and the timing that he's doing it. And in case you don't remember, Donald Trump is a Gemini. He's a Gemini with the moon in Sagittarius. And his rising sign is Leo. So Donald Trump, I'm going to try not to say too much about him, but I, sort of kind of do believe he has an astrologer in the White House, and you can have an astrologer in your house by getting in touch with Z Star Man. We're going to put up the number again later on in the show. But speaking of Sagittarius, up next, we're going to talk about the upcoming Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter is going to be retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius from February 6th to June 9th. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, so if you have Jupiter rising sign, or if you have a Sagittarius rising sign, if you have Jupiter prominent in your chart, Jupiter is in the sign of Libra as we speak. Jupiter went into the sign of Libra last September, and it has been moving direct. Now it's time for Jupiter to slow down. And Jupiter is in the sign of Libra right now. So what does Jupiter represent? I see this is why I'm saying Trump has an astrologer. Because it's funny that he has put all these flying bans and travel bans, and Jupiter is the sign of long distance traveling. Every Sagittarius loves to travel, and for some reason he's throwing the system off. Everybody has to be screened and vetted, and this is what I'm picking up from my astrology sense. This is the beginning of Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. Again, Jupiter's long distance travel, higher knowledge, higher learning, and all this is sort of and it not only affects the United States, but it affects the world when Jupiter is retrograde and we have this travel ban. So these are the preambles for Jupiter retrograde for Sagittarius, and Sagittarius rising signs is sort of kind of like your cosmic timeout to really find out who you are from a spiritual point of view. It's, Sagittarius, you've been moving fast over the last 6 months, or almost 7 months. So the universe is asking you to slow down for a second. And wherever Jupiter is in your astrology chart, if you want to know what house Jupiter is in, call me after the show and we'll schedule an astrology, numerology consultation. Pay close attention to these planets, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Know how they're moving and spinning in your astrology chart. 212-757, you want to know right now? Give me a call. 212-757-1393 is the number to call. Donald Trump has an astrologer. Why don't you have an astrologer talking to you and guiding you? The reason why I say Donald Trump has an astrologer, because I don't know if anybody saw this letter that Nancy Reagan wrote him back in the 1980s saying that he would be a good president, yada, yada, yada. So Nancy Reagan, it's a noted fact that she had an astrologer in the White House. And for some reason, I believe Donald Trump has an astrologer in the White House too. Again, 212-757-1393. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Take a minute to get the latest astrology news and information. We are live from New York City. It's January 30th, 2017. If you're watching this show after January 30th, which will probably be February for most people, you can't call into the show, but you can call me after the show for an astrology, numerology consultation. Now, continuing with the highlights or the astrological highlights for the month of February. And on February 10th, we're going to have a lunar eclipse. We're going to have a lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse is going to be in the sign of Leo. And this is not a total lunar eclipse. I got a video that I'm going to put up. This is not the total lunar eclipse. This is called a prenumbal lunar eclipse, where only the shadow of the Earth covers the moon. When we see a total eclipse, sometimes the whole Earth is over the moon, but only the shadow of the Earth is covering the moon during a total or during this prenumbal eclipse. So it'll be like when we're looking at the moon on February 10th, weather permitting, and in New York City. This is going to be a 2-hour event. So it's like someone putting a film over the moon. Let's come back to me for a second, control room. Now, the moon will be in the sign of Leo. The moon is in the sign of Leo. Come back to me for a second, control room. The moon is in the sign of Leo. Now, how do we get a lunar eclipse? We get a lunar eclipse because the Earth comes between the sun and the moon. And something that I was talking to an astrology buddy of mine, Sharon Lilani, a lot of people don't talk about what sign the Earth is in. The Earth is in the sign of Leo. So it's going to be a dramatic day. Watch what I tell you. February 10th, February 11th, February 12th, that weekend, watch all the drama that's going to go down after a lunar eclipse, especially dealing with Leo people, especially dealing with Scorpio people, and especially dealing with Aquarius people, because the sun is going to be in the sign of Aquarius and the moon is in opposition to in the sign of Leo. Pay attention to me. It's not about readings all the time, and everybody wants to be read, and that's great, and I love doing that. But it's about bringing you what's happening for a mass amount of days, a mass amount of times, so you can be on top of it. Astrology is like the 5-day weather forecast that we see meteorologists do every night on the weather. This is what's going to happen in the 5 days. This is what's going to happen astrologically, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You got to get ready for these lunar eclipses. Well, there's 2 eclipses. One, there's a lunar, and a couple of weeks later, 2 weeks later, there's going to be a solar eclipse. But let's show them. I'm just on this. You know, call me mad Gemini tonight, but let's show them a video of the lunar eclipse. Now, here you see, stop it right there, control room. The edge of that, we see that first white line, the shadow. You see the filter coming over it? You see the filter, and this is going to be about 5:30 on February 10th, and if the weather is good outside, stop it right there. This is the maximum. Now, if it was a total eclipse, the moon would be like taking a bite out of it, or that area would be totally dark. Let's move it again, control room. So this is going to happen in the sign of Leo. I want all my Leo people to keep their eyes open. Now, the shadow of the Earth, as you see, the filter sort of kind of is lightening it. So all the fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, be mindful of this event. Lunar eclipses bring about major events, and especially since we have a lunatic as president of the United States. Yeah, I said it, and the world knows it. So I want everybody to be on top of that from an astrology point of view. 212, we got time for one more phone call. 212-757-1393 is the number to call. A lot of people like readings and stuff, but I want to get this information out to the masses at large so you can know ahead of time what's going down from an astrology point of view. As I said earlier in the show, Mars is now in the sign of Aries. So this is great for all the fire signs, Mars being in the sign of Aries. Let's show them that graphic, control room. There's a symbol for Mars. Mars is in the sign of Aries from January 28th to March 9, 2017. Mars is at its home. Mars rules the sign of Aries. So all you Aries people, a lot of Aries people, a lot of people with planets in the sign of Aries, like my good buddy Shirley, and lots of Aryan people from around the world, know that your ruling planet is back and you're sort of kind of energized now. The ruling planet, your ruling planet, is in or has returned back home. Imagine you going on vacation, coming back home now. Now you're refreshed. But we have some energies that's going to happen later on with Mars. Mars is going to be squaring Pluto in the sign of Capricorn later on this month. Mars is also going to be opposite Jupiter. So don't sleep on this Mars. Mars is about war. Mars is about fighting. Mars is about using mass amounts of energy. And the thing is to know how Mars will be affecting you, yours, your job, your career, your relationships. Again, we got a couple more minutes for one more phone call to talk astrology and numerology. 212-757-1393 is the number to call for real astrology. This is Z Starman's take on astrology. I don't care about the other schools of thoughts. Everybody has their brand. Everybody has their style. My style and my brand has been featured on Manhattan Neighborhood Network and around the country for the last 8 years. So come on and get with this astrology and get with this numerology here live from New York City. Now, again, as I said at the top of the show, there's a lot of activity happening in the sign of Aries. And Venus, later on this month, Venus is going to be in the sign of Aries. Venus is going to be in the sign of Aries from February 3rd, 2017. We can take the call number off control room. Venus is going to be in the sign of Aries from February 3rd, 2017 to April 3rd. And that's sort of kind of a long stay in the sign of Aries. Venus is going to be in Aries for the next 2 months. Usually Venus stays in the sign for about a month, but it's going to be in there for 2 months because Venus is going to be retrograde in March, around about March 4th, and then it's going to retrograde back into the sign of Pisces on April 3rd. So Venus from now into, or from February 3rd to April 3rd, a lot of people are watching the show in other cities right now, but this is going to be really challenging for Aries people. Aries people, you're going to be forced to get your love life together and your money together. And it's going to be forming some obstacles to Cancer people, because Cancer and Aries are 90 degrees away from each other, so that's a square aspect. So all the cardinal signs like Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra, now it's time to get your act together. A lot of planets are going to be simultaneously retrograde during the spring. What y'all think Trump has done over the last couple of weeks, in his executive orders every other day, it seems like, that's nothing. You have to arm yourself. You have to get ready to fight, no matter what sign you are. All these planets in the sign of Aries are on the way. If you want to talk astrology and numerology with me after the show, put up the number, control room, let's show them one more time. 212-757-1393 is the number to call. That's the TV show. But we're going to put up the call-in show. Call me after the show to talk astrology and numerology as it relates to you. This is Z Starman saying peace, love, light, namaste.